Hi, today we want to talk about the average value of a function. Now, suppose you have a function f of x and that function is defined on an open interval ab as shown on the graph below. So you have a function, y is f of x, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, and this function is defined on the interval AB. Now, to determine the average value of the function is as good as determining the mean value of that function. What would be the mean as you move from A to B? Now, the average value of f of x on the interval AB is given by f average is equal to 1 over b minus a times the integral from a to b of f of x dx. So if you want to calculate the average value of f of x on AB, then this is the formula that we are going to use. This is the formula that will come in handy. So let's look at an example. You can call it example 1 if you wish. Find the average value of f of x is equals to 3x squared minus 2x plus 1 on the interval 1, 3. Now, let's look at the solution to this problem. Now, from the definition of the average value of a function, we have this. And in our case, a is the lower limit, which is 1, b is the upper limit, which is 3, and the function itself is 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. So we can therefore determine our average value by substituting those values in this expression, which is 1 over 3 minus 1, integral from 1 to 3 of 3x squared minus 2x plus 1, and we are integrating this with respect to x. So here we just use normal integration. Now if we integrate 3x squared minus 2x plus 1, we'll have x cubed minus x squared plus x, and the limits will still be 1 to 3, which is a half into 3 cubed minus 3 squared plus 3 minus 1 cubed minus 1 squared plus 1, which is equals to a half of 27 minus 9 plus 3 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1. Now 27 minus 9 is 18 plus 3 is 21. When you subtract 1, you get 20 plus 1 is 21 minus 1 is again 20. So this will be 20, a half of 20, which is 10. So this gives the average value of f of x on the given interval. Now, let's look at another example. Example 2. Find the average value of the function f of x is equals to 4x over 1 plus x squared on the interval 0, 2. Now, under solution, from the given problem, we can see clearly that the value of a, which is the lower limit, is 0. The value of b, which is the upper limit, is 2. And the function itself is 4x over 1 plus x squared. Now, from the definition of the average value of a function, we have this. Therefore, substituting the given values in the function, or rather in the formula, we have 1 over 2 minus 0, integral from 0 to 2 of 4x over 1 plus x squared dx. Now, this simplifies to 1 over 2, integral from 0 to 2 of 4x over 1 plus x squared dx. Now, the 4 and the 2 here can cancel, and then we can factor out 2 so that we have 1 plus x squared dx. Now, we can integrate this directly by using substitution. If we let u to be 1 plus x squared, we can see that du will be 2x dx, so that dx is 1 over 2x du. Now, since we are transforming the variable x to u, we also need to change the limits which are in terms of x so that they are in terms of u. So if we were to do that using a table, when x is 0, u is 1. When x is 2, u is 5. So our average value becomes twice the integral. Now the limits 0 to 2 change to 1 to 5. Then we have x over u, and dx, as we can all see, is 1 over 2x du. Now, these 2 here and the 2 outside can cancel, and the x there can cancel, so that at the end of the day you have integral from 1 to 5 of 1 over u du, which is actually natural log of u from 1 to 5. If you substitute the limits, then you have natural log of 5 minus natural log of 1, and natural log of 1 we all know is 0, so that means that leaves us with natural log of 5 as our value of the average value of the function. Therefore, the average value of the function given here on this interval will be natural log of 5. Now let's look at the third example. So example number 3, find the average value of the function f of x is equals to e cos t sin t on the interval 0, pi over 2. Now, what is the solution for this? As we did in the previous examples, we need to identify our a, which in this case is 0, our b is pi over 2, and our function, which is f of t, is e raised power cos t times sin t. So the average value of the given function in the given interval will be 1 over b minus a, integral from a to b of f of t dt, if you substitute the given values, then you have 1 over pi over 2 minus 0, integral from 0 to pi over 2 of e cos t sine t dt, which simplifies to, 1 over pi over 2 is the same as 2 over pi. So this will be 2 over pi, integral from 0 to pi over 2, e cos t times sine t dt. Now, we can see clearly that we can apply substitution to determine this integral. So if we let u to be cos t, du will be negative sine t dt, so that dt is negative du over sine t. So if we substitute all this, of course we need to also change the limits of integration from t to u. Now when t is 0, u is 1, and when t is pi over 2, cosine of pi over 2 is 0. So our average value of the function becomes 2 over pi, integral from 1 to 0 of e power u times sine t multiplied by dt, which is minus du over sine t. Now, sine t and sine t will cancel, and we can use the negative here to flip the limits so that we have 2 over pi, integral from 0 to 1, e power u du. Remember, the limits are now in terms of u. So this will become 2 over pi. Integral of e power u du is e power u. So we'll have e power u, and the limits are from 0 to 1, which is the same as 2 over pi e power 1 minus e power 0, which is simply 2 over pi e minus 1, since e power 0 is 1. And that gives you the value of the average, or rather the average value of the function f of t is equals to e cos t sine t on the interval 0 pi over 2. Thank you. So that is basically how you determine the average value of a function in a given interval. Now let me give you some assignment problems. So assignment. Find the average value of the given functions. Number 1, f of x is equals to 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus 5, and the interval is 1, 4. Number 2, f of x is equals to sine 2x, and the interval is 0, 3 pi over 2. And lastly, f of t is equals to e raised to power sine t cos t, and the interval 0, pi over 2. So I want you to attempt these problems, and if you do them correctly, you should get the following solutions. Number 1, if you do that correctly, you must get 101 as your solution. Number 2, the correct answer should be 2 over 3 pi. And if you do the last problem correctly, then you should get 2 over pi into e minus 1 as your solution. Hope that helps.